Now, how do manipulators work? Some of us may not realize this, but manipulators love to do a couple of things. First, they love to use flattery. You ever had somebody who was trying to get you to do something and they just used flattery? Now, I'm not talking about when you come up to me at the end of the message and you're like, that's a great message, Pastor Devin. That's not manipulation, that's truth, right? But they just constantly, like, you are so important. I couldn't do this without you. We are in this together. You're my ride and die. Right? They just use flattery to make you feel like you are the most important thing in their life. And then a manipulator is going to move into the second phase, which is threats. Now that they've got you hooked, now that they've got you convinced that you are this important in their lives, they're going to put pressure on you, again, to try and do something that you know you shouldn't do, something you don't want to do, to give up something that's important to you, to draw you away from people that love you and care about you and want to protect you. And some of you are like, that's not me, but I have a family member that this has happened to, right? And then they start to use threats and say, if you walk away from me, nobody's going to believe you. Nobody is going to be on your side because they see how good I am to you. Right? Oh, they'll take the kids away. I've had people in my office more times than I can count over the years. Bruises on their bodies, and they're like, but I have to go back because he'll take the kids away. No, he won't. I'll kill him. But this is what they do. And we fall for it because of fear. A manipulator is always going to try and make you feel responsible for their actions. Which leads us to the third thing that they use, which is guilt. After all I've done for you. You call yourself a Christian and you won't do this for me? If you really loved me, just like Delilah, if you really loved me, you'd do this. If you really loved me, you'd keep this secret. If you really loved me, you'd protect me. So through flattery, through threats, and through guilt, a lot of people work their way into where they're controlling the strings of our hearts. And they start leading us to do a dance that we know we shouldn't do, but then we end up feeling trapped. We end up feeling trapped. And maybe you've never experienced this yourself. I hope that you haven't, but I know that a lot of people have. And I know that we know people and love people that we can probably think of right now that go through this. So what do we do when we realize that somebody is trying to manipulate us, when we realize that somebody is trying to control us? How do we break the power of manipulation in our lives, the power that those people try and have over us? I want to give you 3 different prayers that we need to pray that can help us deal with manipulation. The first one is, God, help me to recognize when someone is trying to manipulate me. Because the unfortunate reality is a lot of times we end up in situations where we have problems because we don't realize on the front end. Like Samson. We read the story and we think this is obvious. Right? Anybody here ever read books? Okay, like, yeah, I read a book one time, a long time ago. Yeah. Listen to audiobooks, right? Watch television. Some of you are like, I'm not raising my hand. I already fell for this once today. I'm not doing it again. No, really. But you watch a story, you read a story, you get into a story, and as the reader, you know something that the character doesn't, right? You ever seen a story like that? You know this guy is trouble. You know this girl is trouble. You know this is going to end up in problem. They don't know that. And that's how we are a lot of times with manipulators, because again, they come in with flattery, they come in with kindness, they come in with honey, and they draw us into the relationship slowly and surely, and we don't recognize that it's a setup and it's a trap. And so we need to pray, God, help us recognize when someone is trying to manipulate me. Because again, we're really good at seeing everybody else's problems. Right? You remember when Jesus talks about, don't worry about the speck in someone else's eye when you got a log in yours? Right? I think that this kind of relates to that story. We're really good at looking and realizing that, you're making bad decisions. You got somebody in your life who's controlling. But a lot of times we don't recognize when it's us who are the ones who are making bad decisions. Do we? No, we don't. You can be honest in church. It's all right. So I wanted to show you a story here where Jesus is opening up to his disciples. He's kind of taking the time to really explain, this is why I'm here. This is what's got to happen for me to really